Last week, Anthropic announced they'd built a model so powerful they refused to let anyone use it. They say it found thousands of zero-day vulnerabilities in every major operating system and every major web browser. Bugs that survived 27 years of human review, exploits that 5 million automated tests missed. Does that sound terrifying? Well, that's kind of the point. Because when you look past the headline and actually dig into the data, it gets more complicated and more interesting. On April 7th, Anthropic did something no major AI lab has done before. They revealed a new frontier model, Claude Mythos, and in the same breath, they said, you can't have it. Instead of a public release, they launched Project Glasswing, a cybersecurity defense initiative. Mythos gets handed to Amazon, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, JP Morgan Chase, and about 40 other organizations that maintain critical infrastructure. Anthropic put $100 million in usage credits behind it, plus $4 million in donations to open source security organizations. Their position is that Mythos is too dangerous for general availability. AI models can now surpass all but the most skilled humans at finding and exploiting software vulnerabilities. The benchmarks back up at least part of that claim. On SWE Bench Verified, Mythos scored 93.9%. Every other frontier model sits around 80%. On the US Math Olympiad, 97.6% versus 42.3% for the previous Claude model. The cybersecurity findings are even more surprising. Mythos autonomously discovered and exploited zero-day vulnerabilities across operating systems and browsers. A 27-year-old bug in OpenBSD, one of the most security-hardened operating systems on the planet. A 17-year-old remote code execution vulnerability in FreeBSD that gives you root access from anywhere on the internet. No humans were involved after the initial prompt. In one case, it chained 4 separate browser vulnerabilities together to escape both the renderer and OS sandboxes. That is elite-level hacking, done autonomously by a language model. During testing, earlier versions of the model escaped sandboxes, posted exploit details publicly, covered tracks in Git, searched process memory for credentials, and deliberately fudged the confidence intervals to dodge safety flags. Anthropic describes Mythos as both the best aligned model they've ever built and the greatest alignment risk they've ever released. Now, it might sound heavy listening to all this, but there is another side to this. John at Tom's Hardware wrote what I think is the sharpest critique of this announcement. His argument is that Mythos is part truth and part marketing. Let's start with numbers. Anthropic claims thousands of high-severity vulnerabilities, but how many did human experts actually validate? The answer is 198. And about 90% of those contractors agreed with the model's severity rating. Anthropic then extrapolated that hit rate across all their findings. It is a reasonable statistical method, but not the same as confirming thousands of critical exploits. Now, let's have a look at the examples Anthropic chose to highlight. The 16-year-old FFM peg bug. Anthropic's own analysis says it's not a critical severity and would be challenging to turn it into a working exploit. The Linux kernel findings? Mythos couldn't actually exploit any of them because of Linux's defense in depth. Some of them had already been patched. In the OSS fuzz style testing across 7,000 open source stacks, it found 10 vulnerabilities, better than previous models, but not thousands of devastating exploits. Red Hat looked at the findings too and concluded many of the bugs are functionality flaws and not security concerns. Now, here's the business angle, and this is where it gets really interesting. Anthropic's Claude was the first LLM to get US government security clearance. The company is built around selling to enterprises and government agencies. If you can sell Mythos to Fortune 500 companies and defense departments at $25 per million input tokens and $125 for output, why would you release it to consumers? The restricted release isn't just a safety measure, it is a business strategy. And it's not like Anthropic hasn't done this before. Dario Amodei has repeatedly made alarming claims about AI, jobs disappearing, existential risk, and the need for stricter controls. Jensen Huang called this out in 2025, basically saying Anthropic was positioning itself as the only company responsible enough to build advanced AI. One more thing, days after Mythos released, OpenAI announced it's working on its own advanced cybersecurity model with a similar restricted rollout. These models converge on similar capabilities. Mythos is impressive, but it's probably not unique. So, is this a genuine breakthrough or a sales pitch? I feel it's both. The concrete findings are real. The OpenBSD bug was 27 years old. It was confirmed and now patched. Same with FFmpeg and FreeBSD. These are actual 0 days in production software that decades of reviews missed, and AI found them on its own. And that matters. But the framing is designed to maximize impact. Claiming thousands of critical 0 days when you validated 198 is a stretch. Highlighting vulnerabilities your own analysis calls non-critical is selective storytelling. The real shift is what CrowdStrike's CTO said. The window between discovering a vulnerability and exploiting it has collapsed. What took months now takes minutes with AI. AI is getting meaningfully better at finding software bugs. That's true whether it's Mythos, whatever OpenAI is building, or the next model from any lab. The 20-year equilibrium in cybersecurity where attackers and defenders both operated at human scale, that is ending. AI will reshape security. It's whether defenders move fast enough to stay ahead of the attackers. Now, here's why this matters if you're running a business. Every few months, there's a new AI announcement framed as either the next revolution or the beginning of the end. The skill isn't reacting to each one. It's knowing what actually changes your strategy and what's noise. Mythos tells us AI coding and security capabilities are advancing faster than most people expected. That has real implications for your software supply chain, your security posture, and where AI fits in your operations. But it doesn't mean you panic, and it doesn't mean that you take any company's marketing at face value, even when that company is doing genuinely impressive work. The businesses that win here are the ones with a clear-eyed AI strategy, built on understanding what these tools actually do, where they fall short, and where the real opportunities are for your specific situation. And that's what I do. I help high-growth businesses build AI strategies that actually hold up, based on what moves the needle for your business. If you want a clear, honest assessment of where AI fits in your company, I run a strategic diagnostic session, a focused deep dive where we surface what's working, what's not, and what to do next. You walk away with a written action plan, a priority matrix, and a clear roadmap. The link to book is in the description below. If you enjoyed watching this video, hit like and subscribe. I break down AI developments like this every week through the lens of what it actually means for businesses. I'll see you in the next one.